All right, let's bring us in. Let's kick off episode number 12. I think we're on episode 12 of season 3. We're almost in the teens. And MSS. I just don't like that acronym. I wish we could have just called it like the Showdown or something like that here in NA, but mid-season showdown.
Where are you? Are you in outer space right now?
I am in outer space. That's right. I am basically the embodiment of Tommy because
Jesus.
my man.
I know you were getting. I knew you were getting high on that copium. I didn't know you were getting that high.
No. It's not that high. I'm just cosplaying as Tommy because there's no more stars, dude. There are no more stars to be had. It's just a dark night.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Facecheck, everyone. That is the joke of the week. LS Dom and myself here to recap the matches. And as the LCS is coming to close, since it's a little bit thinner in the LCS this week, we'll talk a little bit more globally on the global leagues, including the upsets over at the LEC. And no upsets here, though, in the LCS. LS, how was your week? How was your week in the matches, brother?
I mean, the gauntlet, these days are oddly harder, I think, to get through because of the best of fives, especially if the series becomes like repetitive with picks and bans. I think that is that's a thing. And then LCK, because I had to do everything this weekend. This was actually the hardest week, I think. That's it.
What do you mean you had to do everything?
Like, I had to do the gauntlet. I had to do every LCK match, every LEC, every LCS. Normally, I can choose to take some off, right? But this weekend was playoffs, so yeah.
Yeah, I was just doing VOD reviews of LPL, but my God, that region is fucking good.
They're crazy, man. They're crazy,
so
dude.
They're so good.
I think Munch had the clips going yesterday. He was on the call yesterday with, I think it was Clement. And it was just awesome to see Yagao and Doinby just go back and forth, making play after play, highlight after highlight. I was like, this is we're doing addition and they're doing calculus, dude. This sucks.
I think it's really fun to watch because I feel like that's the type of stuff where they're playing at such a high level that whichever team really starts trying to adapt some of their strategies into focused practice, because you can tell just the way that they play, it's so focused on what they want to do beforehand. The way that they execute 315 dives either top or bot, if they know that someone is diveable 315 after the jungler's full clear, it's just it's like clockwork, it's so perfect the way that they're able to execute those. So if any teams just watch that, if NA teams incorporate that, it's eye-opening, I play a fucking lot of Udyr myself, but a lot of these angles that they go for, they just teach you about the game. It's holy shit, this is just so possible. And if you just play it in this way, it's replicable every single time, So I don't know. I think that it's good because they're so far ahead that you can learn so much from it if you just watch the games.
Yeah, it is. Although it got classified as just fighting all the time, it's starting to be thinking man's league because you are seeing why they're fighting, and then the fighting is just on a whole nother level. The team fights getting to that point is on a whole nother level. A lot of fun to watch and dive on into. LS, you had a lot to watch. What were your matches of the week?
How did the T1 Genji series go, LS? Can you explain?
Yes, well, T1 Genji. No, T1 Genji was obviously really rough. I think T1 I think T1 lost the 90% of their last drafts in the last couple of series and matches that they had. So it was rough. They got 3-0'd. So obviously, there's no losers bracket here in the LCK. So no way to run it back, unfortunately. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess I had the most fun watching LCK out of all the matches this past week, I think, overall.
You heard it here first. Does T1 add even more players into their starting roster next split.
Do they go with a 15-man roster next split?
Oh my god. I don't know. Well, they've been using the same 5, right, for the last couple
Carry
of weeks.
a Teddy.
So, yeah, carry a Teddy.
I mean, Gumayushi's just not a top 10 AD carry in Korea. Like, you just have to accept it.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Jesus Christ.
doesn't seem like we're going to get much out of him on that series. Let's dive on in to our LCS, our very beloved LCS. The reason why we're all here, the reason why you are all here, to hear us call out the. Let's start in the one where we had some dissension. We had TL believers, Cloud9 believers, Secret Agent, IwillDominate, going with a 3-2 Team Liquid to actually jinx his former organization and lead to just a Fudge diff, a Perks diff, a team diff, if you will, for Cloud9 as they take the series 3-1. And so, Dom, I start with you. It seemed like the first couple of them were the first 2 matches actually were a lot of fun back and forth, but Cloud9 just had draft advantage through some of the AD carries in the mid lane that Perks is able to play. Jensen was not. They had to ban those away, and it just felt like it opened up the draft for them.
I actually think that Cloud9's drafts were like pretty exploitable. I mean, they're really over aggressive. It was 11.5 protected, so it's a little bit better, but I think that TL just like wasn't really like synced with like their jungler that much throughout the entire game. I mean, when I watched the TL series, I was just really surprised by how off Santorin looked a lot of the time. Like he just wasn't ever hitting the right timings. Like, and there was times where I felt like maybe the comms are affecting the way that he's playing. Specifically in the game where he was playing Udyr with Jensen Silas. I think this was like game 3. It was the Rise game from Perks, where he gets a full clear off, and he's ahead of the enemy jungler just naturally, and he sits in a bush top side of mid lane for like 40 seconds in the early game, then recalls, and his whole camps have respawned starting from bot side. So his Gromp and his Wolves are respawned. His Wraiths are even respawned at that time too. And like Jensen's wave is slightly pushing away from him, and he immediately runs mid to help get help get Jensen's wave in. And it felt like if you're going to play these types of champions, what your team has to start doing is like figuring out what's the best way for the whole team to like cover certain timing. So one thing that I like, I mean, I'm going to reference LPL again, but I mean, I think that they just do things that it's just good to think about. One thing that you can do is instead of having like your jungle cover like push out timings and things like that, you could lean somebody else. Like if your top lane has pressure, you could have your top lane roam down and help the mid laner get in the wave. You can have your support roam up and help them get into the wave. It just depends on the situation. So it feels like all of the team is trying to like find solutions to problems that are happening with waves. Whereas in NA, it feels like it's like the jungler's job only. Like, oh shit, like this guy needs a push out, I gotta go there. Oh, this guy needs like cover on a dive, I gotta go there. Where it's just too much stuff for a jungler to cover, right? Especially if you're playing a jungler that needs to farm like Udyr. So I want to see more adaptations like that going into the future.
When they do those things, because I'm actually not, I guess I don't know that specific example. Let's say like a mid laner roams up top to help fix the wave or whatever, help with the dive. How do they prevent themselves from falling behind in their own lane? Isn't that what the response would be in NA? Just like, oh, well, now I'm behind because I helped. Because
it's just based on who has tempo, right? Like, so if your bot lane actually like has the push in themselves, like you don't have to sit there and like harass them under the turret on the wave. Your AD carry can recall, buy items, and then while your AD carry is recalling, your mid lane, your support could roam to mid and help them push the wave. So they just do it based off like who has timing. But then they're also just like way smarter about lane swaps in general. So like they'll play the whole situation out. So if like their mid lane has to rotate top to cover a wave, and then the top laner's like low, he gets saved by the mid laner, but he has to base, and the top laner will push out top wave. The mid laner will push out top wave, and then the top laner will end up taking like the mid wave, and they'll just swap once they both kill a wave. So like they're all trying to like catch waves and fix problems together, which I think is like the best way to like be playing the map as a whole.
LS, what did you see in this series?
I mean, I was obviously tweeting about Cloud9's drafts because it was the complete polar opposite of what I expected coming into the series, but it was really akin to what they were also doing against 100 Thieves. And I don't know. I mean, I think the only thing that was more distasteful for me out of the series was probably Jensen's both his play and his picks in mid lane. I think those were fucking a tragedy in themselves. I don't know what TL was doing with their drafts. It felt like it was disjointed. It felt like they were trying to just add too many things to a cake. They were all over the place, right? From game 1 to game 4. The Jinx and Tom Kent randomly paired with other things I thought was really weird. The Volibear top lane just felt really out of place. I don't understand what that point was. The blind Sylas made no fucking sense. Ahri in general.
Ahri into Sylas was crazy too. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, Sylas is not blind pickable. Sylas is a situational counter pick. Like, if you're going to play it against the mage, the best mage to play it into is Syndra, and then the other pick that you want to see it into is like TF, right? But blinding Sylas, like, we saw a team try to blind. We saw LNG try to blind Sylas in fucking in LPL versus Suiting, and Angel just pulled out Kassadin. It's like, okay, you want to blind Sylas? Okay, we can just get Kassadin for free, and then Kassadin just becomes a monster in the game. Like, there are counter picks of Sylas. It just feels like no one is picking them for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that go.
No. I was gonna say, do they forget? Like, why does that happen?
I think it's because people aren't used to the metas. Like, and it just takes too long to shift the meta entirely. Like, I mean, one thing that I like, at least in the 100 Thieves games, is they picked Braum into Alistar. But what ends up happening is that, like, one champion becomes really strong. So, like, in support case, it'll be like Rel or something, right? Like, Rel is really broken. So then Alistar will be used as an answer to Rel, and then people will start, like, blinding Alistar because, like, it's good against other engaged supports. But then no one, like, is like, remembers the old metas. Like, what counters Alistar again? Like, you can play Bard into Alistar, you can play Braum into Alistar, Tom Kench into Alistar. These were always historically good lanes. And yeah, they work with a lot of the 80 carries that are meta right now, but people just, like, I feel like, haven't completely, like, remembered what old metas were and, like, why these things weren't good in the past.
I mean, I think what this could also be attributed to is people don't recognize themes. They don't because when you recognize a theme, it's easier to identify the team than just outright remember the champion. Because if you recognize a theme, then there's only a dozen or so champions, or maybe a little bit more, that are going to encompass that theme.
What do you mean by theme?
So, for instance, if someone has a lot of hard engage into you, right? Hard engage in and of itself is a theme, right? So champions that immediately come to mind when you're thinking about juggling hard engage, like Taric, immediately comes to mind. Kindred is really good stand your ground. Aphelios is really good stand your ground. Kog'Maw is really good stand your ground with enchanters, right? So when you can recognize that a theme is present on the enemy team, it should actually compartmentalize in your brain a list of champions. But the problem is these fucking people don't recognize themes. Hence why they draft the way they do. So they're pairing mismatched champions, misaligned champions, champion with different item breakpoints at different times in the game together, and what you're getting is you're getting a salad or a fucking entree that you'd see on Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, and they're calling themselves a professional drafting team. So I think that one is obviously tragic. I mean, if you look at the G2 series in Europe, I mean, you had fucking Wonder pick Sylas and Gragas into Gnar. I mean, both times. Now, don't get me wrong. Tank Gragas can go even against Gnar, and then, depending on context of the game, it can be, like, happy, right? Then it picks Akali into Gnar. I mean, we just saw Kingen fucking absolutely annihilate the matchup. I mean, Akali shouldn't be able to play, especially after the nerfs. Her early game was hit. She outscales Gnar, yes, but shouldn't be able to play if Gnar's a human. But, like, traditional counters to Gnar, we're not seeing it get played, and when they do, you have Broken Blade laning worse than Sanchovies up in top lane.
Why is Sanchovies catching strays? What's happening? Sanchovies is catching strays on Facecheck? What the fuck?
All right, and
what do you mean? Wait, I just complimented him. What? Broken Blade.
And with that compliment, man. I don't think you know what a compliment.
I'm just saying Broken Blade lane's worse than Sandra. Broken Blade's supposed to be the pro.
The way you said it was like fucking Sancho. It's like, man, we got fucking we got, like, this is my version of complimenting LS. Oh, we got double lift analyzing worse than even fucking LS. Like, that's a great compliment.
Technically yes, right? Because if you angle it from the onus that he's supposed to be a pro player, right? Like, that's where my perspective is. Is Broken Blade supposed to be the pro? He's supposed to be in the LEC, yet he's laning worse than his friend that plays an NA solo queue with Turing tests. So
Hold on. Be right
That's
back.
what we
I have
got.
to Go for like 20 seconds. Be right back.
So-
and with that, now's the time for you all to take a screenshot of our exclusive season 3 Facecheck bingo card, because we have the box. Someone flexes their co-stream guests, and I thought it would be Lemon, but no, it's actually Sanchovies is the one that LS flexes today. Sanchovies making the appearance here on the bingo card. Make sure to screenshot that
He
one.
wasn't even on my coach stream. What?
Yeah, way back in the day, wasn't he?
Oh my god.
That's
That
right.
that's a reach.
Right. It's
That
not
is a
reach.
reach.
He was on
That
your
is a-
stream. You're
That is
right
a
in
big
history.
reach around.
Chat, was Sanchovies not there when before LS made it all Hollywood, made it all big, getting himself a Nike jerseys from T1, all right? Come on now. Come on now. So get your bingo card ready. We're gonna play this one. Winner of that, if you show me that we did all the ones, put the time card in there. I'll shout your name out on today's episode. All right. So you look at this. LS, he gets all big. He starts changing a little bit. Sanchovies, I got you, man. I got you, Sanch.
God damn.
There's some classics on there. What else? Show starts late. Ugh, that's the middle. It should be the
Well,
middle.
let's see. Do we have any things brought up yet? Dom references an LPL game that that one's not ready yet.
LCK apologist LS.
Yeah.
That was like it was S03E12
Oh yeah. I
apologist.
said I mean, you could maybe get that one.
Format gets
Oh my-
flamed. Boomer talk. dGon's low elo is brought up. God damn it. Dom and LS shit on the deceptively good team. I don't think we've shit on them yet.
We
dGon
haven't done it yet,
miraculously
no.
has the same list opinion as Dom. I make those on my own. Stars are given out. One flexes their co-stream guest. Yep. Dom fanboys for perks. A cast member gets banned somewhere. I haven't seen this one yet. Dom has TL flashbacks. LS predicts 3-0. Guy in chat is Papega is your middle bingo card. LS says the most vulgar and the most bourgeois word in the same breath. Chovy is brought up in the church. LS Mickey Mouse voice.
Tom references LPL game that nobody watched. Okay, come on.
Overdosing on copium. Show starts late. Classic face check. Flamey gets flamed. That's a good one. Holy shit. Dom references, all shit on GGS. Dom plugs or flexes crackdown. Loco's brought up. A wild CLG fan appears in chat, and he's a really nice guy. These are all really good.
The CLG
These
fan
are
appearing
good.
in chat. That will never happen. There's
These are
no
really
fans
good.
for CLG.
Shout outs to an OG fan that's been with us and making the bingo cards every season of us. SLLF_J. Hardrada. He's the homie. He's been making these. This was a good one. So you guys have it. You can use that for the rest of the season. Maybe we'll update it after MSI. Okay. I'm trying to remember what point you were making before. Why'd you bring Sanchovies up? And
the Nar block.
Yeah,
draft.
the Nar Aurelia. Yeah, the Nar Aurelia. I mean, I talked about it on Twitter too because I saw people trying to defend it or something. And I mean, for anyone that goes and watches back the game, he pushes 2, does nothing, trades on 3, fails Z. He 50-50s wave 4. He pulls 5. Udyr can't gank at that point because of the minion wave, and then Karma gets Bramble. But then from that point, I mean, yeah, he gets the lead, right? But nothing was going on, right? That was, anyways. That's LEC. That's LEC.
Yeah, that was LEC.
But-
that was LEC.
Yeah. So, in general, I think that drafts and the point that we were bringing it back to is theme identity. And it feels like rather than outright having to remember champions, you should just have to remember themes. Because as soon as you remember themes, it should be easy to compartmentalize a abundance of champions rather than just like specific ones. But it lets you trial and error from that point, or it lets you more accurately remember from that point rather than just having to remember hyper specifics. Which I think is also why Braum took so fucking long to start coming back, right? I mean, I've been complaining about him for like 4 weeks. No one's picking him. Instead, they were picking Alistar in spots where Braum was just better.
Yeah. I love it. Where's the Varus, by the way? Where's Varus? Like, I've been waiting for some Varus.
Dude, Varus too! What the fuck? Varus disrupts long-range hypers. This is just a fucking understood thing. It's a theme, dude! What the fuck?
So the at the beginning of the year, they did change Varus's ult to come out like just completely differently, like, you know, like half a second cast time instead of instant. So I know that because as a player, I know that it feels bad when all the mechanics are there and it's wrong. So I think as a pro player, it's different. You should just learn it. But that's something that I think strayed away, made a lot of players stray away from that. But otherwise, the itemization should still be there for lethality, and it was a build that has been talked about before to play against those long range hypercarries. I think people are just afraid of missing the distance chains there. So, but yeah, what else should be coming back up in these compositions in terms of champion pool?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I feel like TSM hasn't made any like progression with the way that they draft. Like, they're still running these Gnar, Orianna, Nidalee, like top 3 comps, which just makes no sense because you want setup with Nidalee, and then like both their times where they're playing like losing top, losing mid, and then they have a jungler that is going to be relatively useless as the game goes on if he's not able to snowball or do something on the map. So like I think that just in general, like the counter picks just don't do well enough in NA to like justify not doing what TSM did, which is like really sad to me because I feel like you should just auto win the game if the enemy team B1's Gnar.
Let's focus there then in the 100 Thieves TSM matchup there, because it was a big focus on that top side of the map, giving Jayce on over multiple times. And yeah, it was like the Gnar pick. Can you dive into that more here, Dom?
I mean, Jayce absolutely destroys Gnar. Like it's not even close. And the thing about Jayce that makes it such a strong pick is that before, like, you had inherent weaknesses to the champion that made it like kind of sketchy. Yeah, I mean, Muramana was just not as OP as it is now. Tier was much more expensive, so if you wanted to itemize into like a tier, you would really like delay your damage. So there was much more trade-offs that Jayce had to do. Also, there wasn't sustain on Jayce. Like Eclipse gives you sustain that you used to just not have at all. So there was ways you could counter Jayce before with champions like Malphite and champions like Poppy that could just like take short trades with the Jayce and eventually win out. But you just can't do that anymore to a Jayce. So like Jayce doesn't really have that many downsides. It's like a pretty damn strong pick overall. But it's just not being played well enough in these games. And it's not even just the Jayce. Like I think Ssumday specifically like didn't play well on Jayce. Like it doesn't look like a crazy Jayce. Like if you give like a player like Nuggery Jayce, the shy Jayce, and you put him in a lane versus Huni, and it's 1v1 for a period of time, the game is just doomed, right? Like there's a lot you can do with this champion. But they're not getting enough advantages. And then it feels like 100 Thieves just don't know how to play around topside. Like they don't know how to snowball around to carry top laner. Like the whole split, they've kind of been playing like Ssumday weak side. And they kind of just made that into like, oh, well, because FBI is so strong, you know, he's our carry and Ssumday's really good at weak side. But if you're a good team, you need to know how to play both. Like any of your laners should be able to play strong side given the right opportunity. And yeah, I mean, like the Jayce pick, they just didn't play a good game around a Jayce carry. They didn't drop Herald for him. They used the Herald bot lane for like an Ashe instead of using it for the Jayce. They just weren't playing like he was going to snowball and take over the entire game. And Jayce is a pick that not only like you can do the standard stuff that you can do when you're winning split, which right now you don't really win split that much by like taking turrets in front of the enemy top laner. Like when you're in the 1-3-1 against like whoever you're laning against, the person that has the advantage in the 1-3-1 is mainly going to be using that to like push the lane in and then rotate and then either get out the other person's TP or force like an advantage fight on the other side of the map. Then you go into the 1-3-1 again, and then you have like your TP advantage. And then that next play is when you're able to really like leverage your side lane advantage. But it feels like in this game, or like in these games in general, like they didn't know how to properly use the Jayce. Like the Jayce can actually take turret in front of the Gnar. Like Jayce is strong as fuck. With W, you can take turret in front of the Gnar. Like you can chip off like a third of the turret in just one W. Like so every wave you should have so much of an advantage. But it feels like for some reason TSM was just able to group the entire time.
Well, I think Ssumday, so in game one, Ssumday was very up until 17 minutes, and then he died and then died again and then died like a third time in a span of like 5 minutes, I believe. And that's when it just went to shit. The second game, I think, is very much what you said. Hey, 100 Thieves doesn't know how to play with the Fed Jayce. But
yeah, but the reason he's dying is because they don't know how to play around the Jayce. Like part of playing around like a 1-3-1 is knowing where to provide vision for that player so that that player is safe to like use his lead. Where like they don't know how to provide vision for them. So he's just alone there. Like he's like, and every single game is, or every single wave is just a complete gamble, right? It's like, do I push this wave or not? I don't know. Are they here? Who the fuck knows? We have no wards. Okay, well, I'm just going to push it. Oh, never mind. I'm dead. That's what every single situation was. Where like when you watch good teams like play, one motherfucker is not putting 3 pink wards, right? Like it's 1 pink ward per person. So like when you watch other people play split, they have like 3 pink wards and like just deep vision on the entire side of the jungle where they are strong.
LS.
Wait, I'm getting a message. Wait.
Okay.
Okay.
The transition.
I'm back. I'm sorry. No, that was bad. No, it was my phone. Okay.
No worries.
Is that on the bingo?
Dom's diving into the depths here of not being able to set up the Jayce and not just on. It's not just
No, I heard the Jayce
person
stuff. The Jayce is weird. Dom hit the nail on the head about the mirror mana change because the shock value makes it way better than it was for him. It allows Jayce to be an early game bully akin to like any of the top lane snowballers, right? Like Renekton. That people have picked, except Jayce actually has upside in the later stages of the game because he has so much long range, right? He has versatile tools, has split push potential. He can actually team fight. He has utility that he can grant his team and like a lot of other stuff that doesn't really allow the enemy team to interact with him. So Jayce is an interesting champion with the new mirror mana, the new items. You got the buff to the old mirror mana. And I completely agree that a lot of players that are playing him in the Western scene aren't playing him very well. And generally, this is the case with any high mechanical champion. Western Aurelias are generally really bad. Western LeBlancs are generally really bad. Western Ezreals, I mean, I guess there's been a few more in recent times, right? But like Fioras are absent, right? We don't have Fioras anywhere. And Gnar Jayce is somehow going even in a lot of situations where it's only slightly winning for Jayce, which is obviously not an unhappy moment for Gnar. I think Ssumday's performance, I would agree with the sentiment that Ssumday is he's been getting worse and worse over the split, and I think that's really bad news bears for 100 Thieves because he was supposed to be the rock and like the pillar of 100 Thieves in general. And I wonder at what point, I mean, I always say this about Chovy, and I always say it about Keen and other LCK players that are just, you know, hell stuck on bottom teams. At what point does it begin to affect your level of play, and do you just give up being surrounded by kryptonite, pretty much? And the moment that you start trying and you fall off, then it often is a pretty hard recovery. I mean, we saw it with Viper, I guess, when he went to LPL, right? Off of Upon My Life. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Ssumday is also, he's looking good in a region that doesn't really have top laners, which is another thing. Like that's always a metric. It's always anymore. Relative. Huh?
Well, he was by far looking top 2 for a long period of time, and now that's why this whole thing kind of stinks, right?
I mean, I would say a player like Fudge is looking better than Ssumday now. I think that's not even really debatable, right? Like, so it's like seeing players that look bad, that are able, like look bad at the beginning of the split, that are able to like improve that much, and then seeing a player like Ssumday like not be able to step up in times like this, where like this series, the draft strategy from TSM was just plain like, and this is what makes me think TSM's not a good team, is like the way that they're drafting is purely to try to exploit. Like they're drafting with huge holes in their strategy, right? They're drafting a bunch of losing lanes and essentially just being like, we don't think that the enemy team is good enough to punish us, and we'll just get into team fights with like these champions, and like we'll get a completely like even game that we'll be able to win because we have a team comp that scales well in terms of team fight. Like it's really disrespectful. The way that TSM drafted is, there's so many ways it can be exploited, right? They drafted Gnar when the enemy team has Tristana already. Tristana can flex top, go versus Gnar, and the lane is unplayable. The lane is unplayable for a Gnar versus Tristana if the Tristana plays well and the jungler plays around top. There's so many picks that are in the game. Lucian is the same thing. Lucian is another lane that just completely dicks Gnar. Gnar gets beat by so many things. Jayce, Lucian. You could put Karma top versus it. You could play things like Rise top into it. You can play Tristana top. Like there's so many different picks. It goes on and on and on and on and on. The amount of champions you can play Aurelia into it. Like there's so many champions that counter it, right?
If you're as bad as Fudge, you can play Malphite.
Okay, man. Why is Fudge getting flamed? Fudge playing pretty well. Come on. Jesus. Yeah, Quinn versus Gnar is another one. There's so many guys. There's so many. It's like every champion in the game counters it. So like the fact that TSM just goes into it like blinding Gnar, and then they don't even give it like a jungler that makes sense that can actually like play around the Gnar at all. I mean, I think it's really, really crazy that is allowed to work. And essentially TSM is just banking on the fact that Ssumday is not a good enough player to be able to find a counter pick and win the game alone. And 100 Thieves is not a good enough team to win the game through top, which I just don't think that should be the case. And the fact that Ssumday couldn't find a pick and just really like, because that's like a game one strategy. So TSM strategy, you could tell, like I could read their strategy a mile away. Their idea was like, okay, we're going to like start drafting Gnar early. The enemy team is going to try their counter picks. We're going to win the game. And then they're going to feel like, oh, they can't counter Gnar. So we're going to just like, they're going to feel pressure to take Gnar themselves. And then we're going to pick Nocturne into it. Boom. That was like the 5-head strat. It's like, not only are we going to force Gnar to have insanely high priority, we got the counter pick to Gnar, Nocturne into fucking Gnar. We got this. Like it was that was their mentality. Why did it work? It shouldn't. That's a horrible strategy. Like I hate that strategy. I feel like that's a strategy that should never work. Like you should play one game, blind Gnar, get dicked by a Lucian top or a Tristana top or a Jayce top, and then be like, yeah, B1 Gnar didn't work out, guys, and then you'll like meme it in the draft like meeting after the first game, and it's like, okay, back to like some normal shit.
Well, we've got some LPL action to show you exactly how that lane was supposed to go. Flandre was just giving it to Mikuya's Gnar. We can fly that one real quick. Here it is.
So Nelson sent me this because I said, I don't know if Flandre would be good enough on. I said that I don't know if Flandre would be good enough on Jayce to really abuse a Gnar because he's generally weak side for EDG, and he sent me that. So it's like, okay. Yeah, even like the version of like Impact, like I would say Flandre is like supposed to be like the LPL version of Impact, where he's like the one that plays like the rock top laners, you know, like he's the one that doesn't get draft resources, plays weak side, and ends up being like pretty relevant no matter what happens in the game. That guy plays a Jayce that looks like that. So I mean, I don't know what to say anymore, right? Like it's just something that you need to be able to do as a top laner. If you can't play carries top, then I just feel like you can't really play in this meta.
Yeah. I mean, and then it goes back to overall strength of the league and what the objectives are. And I think just coming back to Ssumday, who has been lauded as a top laner in a while and the beneficiary of a team. They imported a team for him and get to this point where it was his turn to carry. They called his number and TSM just straight called him out multiple times with bad plans. And still found success. So
they also disrespected Tommy, but like that's like, I mean, I think that's more reasonable.
That's later, and we have an example on why they did over in what's this thing called? I forgot. Oh, Parsec. We can pull that one up later. But I think, what does this say about Ssumday? Because that to me is like the point I wanted to get to here is like, is it downhill from here? Was it meta difference? Is it team difference? Like what? And that's why when I'm asking about, hey, is this when we look at this Jayce pick that should be winning in this type of a matchup? I'm like, is this Ssumday's fault? And you're like, oh, everyone has to ward around the 1-3-1. Everyone needs to know what they're doing.
But then there's also like the thing of if you're a really good top leader, you should be able to like tell your team what you need in order to win the game.
Right.
It's like I need you to like come like okay like finish like you can micromanage that if you're good enough. But I don't think Ssumday I feel like Ssumday is like pretty quiet and he's just trying to like fit into the team, not really being like demanding like, look, like ward here, here, and here. I'm going to walk up and I am going to absolutely shit on this Gnar's face. Okay? So that is the plan. You ward here, here, and here. I'm going to take the turn in front of him. I will win us this game. Just make sure that you are close to Baron so that if they send multiple people, we just get the objective for free. Boom. That's it.
when a player, LS, since apparently you haven't said anything for the last 10 minutes. When
I just spoke before Ssumday. Dude, this guy's a Papega. Put it on the bingo. Give it over. Give it over. This donk needed to get clown bop.
When a player
He has a Twitch Prime though, so.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Twitch Prime.
He's forgiven.
When there is a player that needs to that is starting to show that, what do you how much time do you give them? And I know I always give you these types of questions where there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of like you need to find out, but like you're in this position where let's say you're Papa Smithy. What do? You do have tenacity behind him, who is a highly rated youngin, but this is Ssumday. This is a cornerstone player of your organization. What are the processes that you look at?
So when a top tier player starts falling off, I don't really know what you do because I've never seen a top tier player, I think, fall off in a team, not have variables around him changed, and then have him return to form. I don't think that's ever happened, or at least not that. And when I say return to form or fall off, I mean like a very, very, very big swing between their level of play, right? Like you take Viper, he goes to Hanwha Life. He was playing really, really well, but he's not playing as well as he is like right now in LPL. You look at Keen and Afrika, and Keen isn't playing necessarily as good as he once was. Summit on Live Sandbox really fell off a cliff in terms of like skill level. I think normally this starts to happen. I'm not really sure what obviously it requires conjecture to know what might be causing it, right? Because low sample size of games can lead to maybe even overreaction on some things, but I'm not really sure. I think also, to answer this about like if it's an amateur, right? If it's not Subway or Subway Ssumday.
Subway. Okay.
Oh, no more McDonald's, baby. We're moving up to
maybe that's where he's gonna end up.
Okay, man.
He's gonna start hitting up Milan maybe on YouTube.
Milan from Subway. Oh no. Holy shit. 100 Subway.
Just take it away. I can't.
Yeah.
Go.
All right. I did put you on the spot, and you did. Like, I appreciate the examples that you gave there. And I feel like in this 100 Thieves series, we focused a lot on the top side of the map. Closer, bless his heart again.
100 subs.
That's awful. Your mind was on subs the whole time, and it came out Subway. It's a Subway. Jesus. Oh my god. So Tom, not focusing, withstanding the top lane. What else jumped out at you from this match on the 100 Thieves side of things?
Tommy is Tommy. It just is what it is, right? Like Tommy is just Tommy, and this is like part of the reason why I didn't like the Ryoma swap. Is like Ryoma is also a player where like just in general, when the pressure is on, he plays worse and worse. He seems like he has that like choker, like he's like choker-esque in that way where it's just like he's always gonna like let the pressure affect him, and he's going to be slightly worse when it matters more. And I feel like Damonte was kind of the opposite. I thought Damonte was like relatively clutch. Like he would find ways in playoffs to always be relevant. Like he wouldn't have like these horrible, like disgusting, I'm going to int the whole game moments in playoffs himself. And I just feel like that would have been useful in a series like this. Like I think this series was winnable for 100 Thieves like at many different points. I think they could have won game 1, game 2, and game 3. So like the fact that they end up going with Tommy, and then he's not even playing these matchups like the matchups are supposed to be played. Like Lucian versus Orianna is very bad for Orianna. Like it's hard. At the very least, you don't have pressure in the lane at like any point really as the Orianna. So you need to be able to like use that to actually get more of an advantage than they did. Like when you watch really good teams play with Lucian mid, the fact that Lucian has the perma push on Orianna just means that like not only is he going to be able to force the Orianna's TP in lane, but also like every wave that Lucian pushes, he's going to be grouping with his jungler and they're diving a side lane, right? And if you don't have TPs, people are just dying, and that's why Lucian is so good when teams play, and that's why like against teams like C9 that you give them credit for having a good Lucian player mid, but then also somebody that knows how to affect the map. I think that's just like it's just too hard to play against, and a lot of teams just aren't willing to do it. So the way I see it is like you don't like Ryoma never plays well enough to justify not having like the clutch factor that at least Damonte had with the team. So I mean, it's just another thing where I'm just disappointed in Tommy. I mean, he threw game 2 pretty much single-handedly. I mean, this team had Elder, they had Soul. There's no way that you have Infernal Soul and Elder, and you have a poke advantage naturally, and you can't win the game. I just don't believe it.
What do
It
you
has to be
mean?
winnable.
Take a look at Golden Guardians. Blaze Olive had a perfectly difficult amount of time.
True.
Oh my god.
So what you're telling me, LS, is that Tristana mid just doesn't scale.
Not good.
That's the issue.
Not
Correct, yes.
good.
That would be what I'm saying, yes.
All right. Okay. Perfect.
We do have it the moment ready to go. Can you narrate through this epic moment of winning until you're losing by in game 2, the play at 41 minutes and 9 seconds.
I don't have Parsec.
On Parsec. Oh, you don't have Parsec. All right.
On Parsec. It's all on Dom.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll do it. Okay.
All right. Dom's
I got it.
All right. Go ahead.
Bring us through this.
All
Narrate
right.
this.
Okay. So one thing that's really good about the situation is 100 Thieves have control of the river, right? With 20 seconds to spawn. So they not only have complete control, which means the enemy team has to face check into them, they also have a massive poke advantage. They have champions like Jayce, Ashe that can just throw volleys with the Infernal Soul. This is so potent, and the Nidalee healing is not going to be enough to actually give them the ability to like sustain the amount of poke that should be able to come out of 100 Thieves. So as you can see here, we're going to roll the clip. Okay, I like this. They're not letting TSM walk into river for free. And you know what they also can see here on their little ward ski right here is they got a Meganar that is timing out. Boom. So the Meganar is going to be tired. So, you know, when Meganar goes down, maybe then would be a good time to either start the Elder Drake or just continue poking because he can no longer generate rage, and Gnar, without being Mega in a fight, is significantly weaker. Okay, so let's play it. All right, I kind of like what they're doing so far. Just throwing skills at them, clearing out the enemy vision, not letting them walk in for free. Tommy, what are you doing? Why did he do this, man? Like, I just don't understand. You literally see, like, right now, the call should be like, Gnar's Mega, like, just chill out. And if you want to make this play, you at least need to play it in an intelligent way, right? So one thing that you can do on Tristana is you can cancel your jump with your flash. So if Tommy wants to jump here, he has to jump, and then once Syndra starts throwing his abilities, he needs to flash out of his jump to the side, and then auto Gale Force, auto R, and he probably kills the guy. Or forces his Zanyas, in which case they can kill him as well. But he just jumps right at him. It's like, it's so disrespectful, man. Like, of course, if you jump directly at a Syndra, and the Syndra is a pro player, he should be able to land the stun. And yeah, I mean, this is Tommy just throwing the whole game, and then FBI has to flash in to finish the play. And you know what the best part about this whole situation is? I just love seeing on the other side of it, like Gnar actually got like the Gnar that was Mega on top of the ward actually just gets an ult off, and they one shot closer too. Like, it's so crazy to me that this actually happens, where it's like, I mean, we should be drilled at this point. Like, there's so much Gnar in the meta right now. We should be drilled that, like, hey, Gnar just went Mega, don't fight, and then when he gets tired, like, then we can start, like, being more aggressive. You know, like, if anything, if you're gonna go for this play and you fuck it up this bad, at least do it on a timing where the Gnar's not Mega, so that it, like, there's some thought going into it. But, like, Tommy, man, we gotta be flashing, we gotta be, like, using the Buster shot, we gotta be doing something if we're going for these types of plays. Disgusting. All of your gold stars have been taken away, and you should feel ashamed of yourself, Tommy. I didn't mean that last part. Tommy, you should feel great about yourself, but still, like, no more gold stars.
Yes, I see.
That's fine though. He's a nice guy, so. Yeah.
I was taking notes here, and I please help us, Nade Shot. Help us, Nade Shot, please. Yes. All right.
Is that how you? Oh, I can tell you're in NA. That's not how you spell Nate Shot.
It is.
Where's the T?
Where's the T?
You know what? He didn't make it all the way through. He got lazy. It's fine.
It's okay.
There's a T there.
It's okay. 100 Thieves isn't good at finishing anyway, so.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, you win some.
Let's close this. Let's close this segment off here with 100 Thieves. Do they make moves here? Do they? What are the roster moves here?
I mean, I don't know if you do a roster move. I think if anything, I would like to see like them. I mean, I wouldn't know if they did it, but like starting to scrim with Tenacity a little bit, trying to integrate him into the roster. I mean, I feel like he's the person that should be like the future top laner of 100 Thieves. And yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a good time to like either motivate Ssumday by, you know, making him fight for his spot a little bit, or if anything, giving him some perspective, because there is value sometimes in like being able to watch your team play without you, and then being able to like understand like, okay, this is like the type of stuff that I'm seeing now outside of the game that I could be like calling more into, seeing how your team is operating completely when you're not in there, I think could help. So I mean, I think that's something that they could do to start like going through summer, is just get some reps in with Tenacity, and try to see like if they can become more versatile, see if there's any way that they can also be a team that can play topside.
Dom, were you? I feel like we've asked this before, but I don't remember. Were you ever benched for that reason, to give like perspective or let someone else play? Not Dardoch. Dardoch was like, hey, this is the move that we're making, and you're kind of transitioning that. But was it ever like, hey, we want to try out this guy? And then
no, but
in
I
a
mean,
period
the thing
where
is, like, it was different. Like when I played, there literally just wasn't other good like there wasn't even 10 good junglers in the league, right? There was no one that you could like have fill in for you that would actually be able to like play the game well enough where you could gain that perspective, you know?
Okay.
Like it was pretty rough back then. So
because my concern is then this hurts a player that's been built up to be a superstar and has performed to that level without finding, you know, championship success, but always being, you know, first team, second team, all pro type caliber. And then you're being like, all right, here comes the new guy that's going to replace me. Like, I think you have to also consider balancing that tenure. I wouldn't call it ego. I mean, it's kind of ego, but also like that deserved ego, right?
I mean,
because
look, Ssumday seems like he has pretty strong mental. Like he literally had to play a full split of Academy because Saligo was so bad that they needed to use Ryu instead of him, right? And like he got benched for that. So I'm sure that he can handle like, you know, playing a pretty poor split and then having like somebody play a couple scrims over him. I think that definitely could be doable.
All right, there we go. Moves in your opinion here, LS, for 100 Thieves coming into next season?
I mean, I don't know what mid laner they could possibly try to get. I mean, trying to think, I guess, about what they could end up doing. I mean, Twitch chat's like mentioning like Nemesis. I mean, there's no way on that one.
Yeah,
so Nemesis probably isn't available.
Nemesis is joining Vitality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean he's here tomorrow, so you know, I mean, it's,
okay.
You know, it's really
back
hard
in Europe for summer split. So
all right, okay, all right. No, because
took
all,
you 2
all
months
of
to
the,
plan your 3-week trip before this year, the 1 month trip before the season kicks back off.
There's probably like mid laners that are on the benches or just not being seen, akin to Gumayushi or something, right? But do you really go that avenue if you're 100 Thieves? But then again, I mean, I guess you don't really have.
They don't have
many options.
I mean, they have to change someday if they want to import mid.
Right. So yeah, but then you were mentioning about maybe having him go down into Academy, right? So like, I mean, I'm just angling it from the mid lane situation is obviously a nightmare because mid laners in NA or I mean it's something, but I don't know. I feel like there's too limited options. There's only 2 months. Most of the elite players are signed, and most of the people who are going to be akin to like Gumayushi or something that no one has any idea about. I mean, where do you find them? I guess at this point, right? I guess there's Generation Gaming's Academy mid laner, which has a lot of hype around him.
Deep cut. Generation
I
Gaming. This is was it the Challengers Korea?
No, Generation Gaming is
Gen G. He just calls them Gen.
What?
Are they,
yeah.
Are they actually called Generation Gaming?
No.
Yes, that's their name. It's so sad.
I just got memed so hard. I was like, what the fuck is Generation Gaming? Is this like the Academy team of Gen G? Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were memeing. Like you've called it Generation Gaming for a while, you know. And every single time I knew you were talking about Gen G, but I thought you were memeing. I didn't know their name was actually Generation Gaming.
Yeah, so I started doing it as a subtle meme to drop hints about T1, right? Because T1 always refers to them as Generation Gaming, except on like official social medias, right? But yeah, I mean, I Generation Gaming. I don't really know. I actually have to go there tomorrow. I lost the bet. I have to wear a Gen G jersey for finals.
Ugh.
It's all over.
You think I'm gonna end up having to go bald or what, LS?
Oh my. Honestly, I mean, if
Thanks, Joe.
yeah, I think I'm gonna tell Fudge that it's time.
I mean, all right, secret agent.
It's time
Fudge.
to run it down. Like,
You know, like LS probably just has like some trigger word that he says that just like it goes off in Fudge's mind, and then he just has to run it down.
It's like the Call of Duty Black Ops. That was literally the whole storyline of Black Ops. All right. Well,
what is it? I wonder what the code word is that just like sends him into like that KGB.
I mean, take a look at what happens to everyone that
mode.
Everyone that joins my co-streams. Take a look what happens. Mickey's like fighting through the lower bracket now.
Oh yeah,
Europe.
you've ruined everything. No, true. You joined T1, they're going 0-3 versus Gen G. It's over, man.
Fucking now, look who I had perks on yesterday. It's oh man, the finals. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's doomed for you, man. I don't know.
Well,
what was
so it goes.
I wanted to touch on mid-season swaps just in case for people at home, and we'll talk about it a little bit in our off-season episode. Mid-season swaps, very difficult to orchestrate because you have to pay a buyout fee because nearly nobody's contract ends in the middle of a season. It'll end at the end of the year. So those kind of moves are very expensive and have to come with very clear upside to it, whether it's making it to playoffs or making a championship run type thing. So that's why I was like, are there deep cuts here? So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe looking at a tenacity and some sort of expensive import move if there's a team that could possibly afford it. Maybe it's 100 Thieves. All right, so we
or Golden Guardians. Who knows? They seem to
Guardians.
There's I don't know.
Where are we going?
They're
to
catching
that?
strays.
I was like, all right, I'm not gonna, where's this stray going? I can't shoot that stray. All right. Yeah, actually, I was gonna say I'm familiar with getting a player in the middle of a split. We picked up Mickey from Team Liquid Academy.
Yeah, how did that go? He didn't even make it the split. He left before the final week, man.
So the other series was TL Cloud9. We touched on that one a little bit, but I think we can go a little bit deeper into that one.
Okay.
I wanted to focus on the top lane here as well, right? With Fudge and Alphari. Alphari just kind of running it through so many other opponents. And then here, Fudge doing his job. And whatever the other code word was that LS whispered across the internet, turned Fudge into a monster and holding Alphari in check, as well as the pool that Perks was able to hold over Jensen. But I think we had a split. Was it this game that we had a split on the draft in game one?
No, that was 100 Thieves TSM. I think we had different opinions.
Okay.
Let me take this one first because my diarrhea is.
Whoa!
I need to get this one out, and then I need to,
get something else out.
Fudge. Yeah, I gotta get something else out. I mean, we already touched on the drafts a little bit, but I mean, Fudge only played 2 champions in this entire series, right? And the only game where Alphari was having a leg up was the Gangplank game. For the most part, right? Which I mean, that's also sort of a byproduct of the matchup, but it seemed like, I mean, Alphari just got set really far behind by super cookie cutter stuff. Like almost every game, it was pretty cookie cutter. Like from the
level
get-go.
6 dive, level 6 dive, like Renekton's hitting level 6. Like, your jungler needs to be here.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Alphari was doing some weird stuff when it came to builds. I think as well, like he did the Doran's Blade into Corrupting Potion Urgot, right? But it just didn't, and he had Time Warp Tonic. I mean, we talked about it on the co-stream and whatnot about his builds. And then when he went Volibear, That one just seemed really out of place as well. It doesn't even feel like it was his decision, because I don't know how is that draft ever supposed to beat Cloud9's draft, by the way? Kalista, Volibear, Sylas into fucking Ryze Jinx with Sion and Thresh as like blockers. I don't know what mental gymnastics you have to do to say that these champs should ever win. But yeah, I'm really not too sure. I mean, it also seems like when TL booms, they boom, and I am gonna go boom.
Okay, Jesus. I mean, I feel like it almost just looks like certain teams just like watch Korea and they're like, oh shit, like Ruler played a lot of Kalista today. Shit, I'm a really good Kalista. Let's pull out the Kalista. You know, like it doesn't seem like there's that much thought like around it, because like I feel like Kalista lane's like, okay, so if you want to play Kalista, it should be like a whole team identity. Okay, you play Kalista, you pick a weak side top laner, and then you end up like playing through Drake or something like that. And then you have scaling from mid to like be able to like bridge you into late game or like carry you late game if you're able to get it there. But it just feels like the comps are just strange. I don't know what to say about it. Like it doesn't look like they use the champions optimally, or they're like picking them and like really doubling down on the identity. I feel like even though Cloud9 was like super early game focused in a lot of the drafts, they at least like doubled down on it, and they drafted for early game and they played like they needed to win early game, where I don't know, like it just feels like other teams aren't able to actually like execute their like the win conditions that they set for themselves in draft. Looking at you, 100 Thieves.
Well, in this one, I'm looking at that game 3 with the Volibear. And the Volibear, the Sylas.
I mean, the Volibear makes no sense. Like the Volibear into Sion, it's just like you can't, like, at least as far as my knowledge goes, you can't win the lane so hard that the Sion's not going to be able to play the game. So it's not like one of those counter picks where the Sion gets absolutely destroyed, and then if you get into a team fight, Volibear is just going to get outperformed by Sion most of the time as well. So like it just seems like there's not a huge advantage you get out of the Volibear. Also, Volibear this is like not even buffed Volibear, right? This is 11.5 Volibear. This isn't the insane, 11.6 uncapped E Volibear that we're seeing in other regions. So yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get to, because there was in that game 3, there was the one big team fight at Baron where things kind of broke open. You got to see what that looked like. Yes, I think Perks at that point was pretty fed, but I just don't. When I watch this and I'm looking from Tactical's point of view, I'm like, all I can do is hit frontline. Fudge is big, and now my frontline's dead, and now I'm dead. Like
this team has so little damage. Like they have a Kalista, right? Like Kalista at 31 minutes, a Kalista's not going to do as much damage in a team fight as Jinx. That's for sure, right?
Yeah.
And then they're not even tanky really. Like they're going to get absolutely shredded. The Ryze Jinx are going to absolutely shred this Volibear Udyr. And then they don't have like a really like strong damage dealing mid lane either. So like I look at this play that we're seeing here, and I look at this comment, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like the Sylas blind, like something must have happened, because we saw, I think, was it 100 Thieves that also played a Sylas blind game? It just seems like Sylas had so much priority, but for no reason. So let's, yeah. I mean, we can play this clip. I mean, just look at how useful Volibear is here. Was that?
Yeah, play it for me.
Oh my God, are you still on the toilet? Jesus.
No, but I do have wireless earbuds, brought to you by Jabra.
Okay. Jabra, what the hell is that?
I don't know. Take it away.
Jabra, is that what Ssumday's not going to have in summer? Jabra? Oh, just joking. Just kidding, guys.
The strays, bro, are so strong today. Oh, man.
Jesus Christ. But I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like Volibear is like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because, like, people think that, oh, like, this is one thing I considered, right? When you play on really different patches, what ends up happening is people, like, try out, like, if you're playing solo queue on 11.6, like, you try out some of the champions that, are buffed, and you realize you're like, oh, these champions aren't even that bad. It doesn't even actually matter that like the champion got buffed. It's something that's just forgot about. It's even good before the buff. Like we see this a lot in LPL with like the patches. So I wonder if there's some element of like Alfari played on 11.6 with Volibear, and he's like, you know what, the champion is underrated, and then like he got a false perception of how strong it is.
Oh
yeah.
I
recovered from that, dGon?
I'm just. It's hard to not just give another bingo slot on the format getting flamed. In this case, it's just the patch format. We've hit on it before, and
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, it's just frustrating. I don't even remember what the Riot defense was to it. Was it because we weren't in studio? What was the reason for it that LCS didn't switch to 1.
I don't know, but my all I'm saying is, like this, you won't be able to tell if NA is actually behind the other regions at this point, because we're playing on this patch. We're going to be at such a disadvantage for MSI that we could be possibly the best region in the world on 11.5. But the fact that we didn't get the practice on the patch could be rough internationally. Really,
that's it. All those other teams got an earlier jump. That's going to be the difference over at MSI. I'm looking at chat. I feel like chat has an answer for this. Was there a reason for this?
We done seconds because of the patch. True.
Okay,
yeah.
Here we go. There's not. They said there's not enough time to practice on the new patch. That is why the LEC is delayed.
Yeah, but that's such horseshit, by the way. That's such horseshit. Whenever a new fucking champion comes out, every goddamn pro team in the world can magically play it within the first fucking week, right? Depending on if it's good enough. This argument about practice is just so fucking horsenine. It was the same goddamn thing about Viego, or not Viego. I mean, it's it's fucking Yone, right? It was the same thing about Yone. Yone and Lilia were separated by like a week or 2 weeks. What kind of an argument is this? There were 2 months. What is going on, man? No, I mean, it's just so stupid. I can't. God, I'm gonna get TOS. No, but God,
no, don't do that.
Damn.
Where's Viego? That's my question. Is it like?
Well, he'll be in. Actually, no. I haven't. They're planning to enable him for 12.3.
Oh, 12.3. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Cool. So preseason, we're gonna get some Viego or what?
We're gonna have 5 new champions released, and then we get Viego. Tight. All right. Let's close this parsec and move ahead now to the new matchup, the rematchup. No, I guess they haven't played yet. So they did play TSM round 2. This is where TL looked dominant, gave faith to all of Dom's followers into thinking that TL could win, because Dom obviously knew that Cloud9 was going to win. He had to pull the big Jinx Reno, and we get round 2 of this. So TL TSM, and I kind of want to get your feels here. Feels like what happened with the losers bracket matches in round 1 with TSM versus Evil Geniuses and 100 Thieves versus Dignitas. In this TSM versus 100 Thieves match, did we learn a lot about TSM, or did we learn a lot more about Ssumday and the game plan that 100 Thieves have? So did we learn enough that we feel like TSM is coming into this pretty good?
I mean, I think that TSM didn't really show anything, right? Like extra. I had this conversation with Perks about how winners bracket doesn't have a real advantage other than they have to play one less best of 5, right? And the conversation that Perks had about it is that like you can get tired from playing all the best of 5s like in a row, and there's a chance that like if the game goes to game 5, then you can have to show things, right? But I don't think I've ever seen a tournament where something really special was actually shown specifically in a major match. Or something like totally out of the norm. Because I'm of the belief that if teams were really capable of something like that, you would see glimpses of it throughout the split with innovative picks or deviations from the meta. TSM and Team Liquid are not like that. I do agree that there were like very bizarre pivots, right? Like 100 Thieves drafting all scaling after being 100 Sins. I think that stuff like that is interesting, but that's more of an entire turnaround than like a surprise, right? TSM TL, they've been drafting. I mean, I know that there's like those like Reddit Ronalds, okay, and there's like the YouTube Yarnells or something that I don't know what's going on there,
Yarnell?
But I just squeezed that one in. Like,
Yarnell
out. Oh, come on, man.
I know there are going to be people that are saying like that their drafts are different. I mean, it's really hard to discern, loose stools from diarrhea. So, I mean, when we're talking about the drafts being different, or like they're being, where there's a little bit of oh my god,
we know where your mind is.
How much I can't loose stool. I didn't even mean to do that. Jesus. Okay.
Tools from diarrhea. Oh my
All right. Well, oh god. Anyways, yeah, I don't think there's enough deviation. I think all that it depends on is TL gonna tilt out of their mind? Are they gonna draft Silas Blind? Do they still think Ari is a good champion? And then what TSM is gonna show up on the day? Because honestly, the last few series TSM has played, it has been a very bad iteration of TSM. It's not that TSM that went on a 5-game tear, and I can already anticipate the people that will claim that because TSM reached finals, that the initial comments that you and I both made about them looking like a bottom tier team is somehow not totally accurate, or that it's not totally forthcoming, even though you and I both acknowledged like their 5-game tear where they were just looking totally different, because ever since then they've been like a cruise ship in the storm. I don't know how to describe it.
I mean, I didn't think that they were terrible, right? Like I said, they were going to be fourth to 100 Thieves, and then 100 Thieves like completely like exploded their entire roster, changed their identity, and just became like a weak version of a top tier team. So to me, like the way that I see TSM is like, I don't think that I learned anything about them versus 100 Thieves series, because I can't imagine that they actually think that these drafts are good. And it wasn't specific prep just because they think that Ssumday is so bad that he can't actually play carries. Like, I don't think that they're going to fucking blind Gnar top into Alfari and just be like, here, let's see your GP, Alfari. Can you beat a Gnar with GP? Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh, my God. The Alfari is like 2 items in 15 minutes. We've lost the game. They're not going to do that shit. Like, they're going to play much more standard with their drafts, and they're going to draft in probably more intelligent ways versus TL. So, I mean, I guess I have to see, like, are they able to find some type of edge on TL, and, like, we have to see what TL learned from their series versus C9, because I feel like they should have at least adapted to like hey, I mean, what is our best version? What is the best version of TL? It's like carry tops, like get a good counter pick for Alfari, a solid control mage mid, and then have like tactical and core JJ on something that they potentially have like lane killing threat on. Like that is what their identity should be, and I think that their series probably solidified that.
Is there concern because the one player that I think probably underperformed the most on that was Santorin? Is there concern that Santorin coming in was bad form because of he's in bad form, or was it based off of the comps that they were trying to play? And Spica's been playing well for TSM, in my opinion. He's been in the right spot, right time.
It's really hard to say what is causing Santorin to play worse. Like, I feel like partly it might be just like what he perceives as like his role within the team. It might be that like there are such good laners on TL where he feels like he really needs to be like compensating and like making sure that his laners like never have like any type of like disadvantage. So he's just running around the map trying to fix everything instead of just like playing the game to like trade. Like you can, hey, like your top laner is allowed to get dove. It's not like anytime your top laner is dove, like you need to be there. It's just you need to be able to at least cross map or something. Like take Drake, take like enemy bot side jungle, like try to counter the enemy, like or just dive bot while the enemy is diving top. Like there's other things you can do. It just feels like instead of just always responding, he's going to need to be able to like make an aggressive play on the other side of the map at some point. And I don't know if he's like able to see that right now, or if he feels like he needs to just like protect everyone.
Get back on being the I guess playmaker, the proactive playmaker, rather than just kind of like the caretaker. Woo! Mm-hmm. That was an accident too. All right, we're just rolling today. All right, cool. LS, keys to the matchup here. What is your big player matchup in terms of TL versus TSM in the loser bracket finals?
It's pretty hard. I'm worried about Jensen in mid lane because of the champions he opted into last week. So I think that mid lane could obviously be a pretty big liability, depending on what he's going to end up choosing, what he's going to draft, and whatnot. Top lane, I think it's volatile. I think Alfari is light years ahead of Huni, but it just depends what Alfari is going to show up and what type of drafts they're going to end up going for. I think that the jungle dynamic between the two teams, it feels like everyone's just playing the same stuff.
Junglers.
Yeah, it feels like the jungle dynamics are really random. It feels like they're both still picking just the same stuff, right? For weeks on end. You just look at their match histories, right? It's all Hecarim, Nidalee, Udyr, etc. I mean, picking Nidalee is also just I I really hate the champion. But Spica seems to have like a fetish for it, so I don't really know what to say there. But hey,
he's always been a good Nidalee player, but like they don't even. Yeah. This is what I don't understand is like why do NA teams hate their jungler?
They don't like, play Nidalee the way that Nidalee. You know, they're picking Nidalee. They're not playing Nidalee. I mean, does that make sense?
C9 had a much better Nidalee game. Like in game one, they did much better at like, okay, we have a Nidalee on our team. What are we doing around the Nidalee? Like, how are we enabling the Nidalee? You know, like, are we going to get connected?
There's stuff like that.
Like,
I just think that the jungle meta in NA is just so depressing. If you look at the match history, right? You go to any pro team, click the match history. It's just depression. It's like 5 champions rotated endlessly, right? But there's more viable junglers that actually exist than like just
Joe. Pull that up, Joe. Pull that up. Go to Leaguepedia and go to pick any LCS team, and then pull up the jungler pool. And
by the way, what happened to Skarner?
Yeah,
because he's boring. This is it. This is literally it. There's so many viable champions that exist in the game, but egos and other fucking nonsense prohibits people from playing them. The amount of players that I've talked to that, you know, behind the scenes, right? And now this is over the years, right? That would tongue-in-cheek say that they won't play Karma or they won't play Soraka, right? In like a solo lane. Because of the fucking stereotypes that are associated with these champions. We
saw it from IwillDominate, right? We saw it. It was like the Kennen pick there. That made me mauled so hard. And then I had like, European regional coaches telling me that I was dumb for saying like Seraphine was like their top.
Oh my god. Can't.
Nah, so I mean, I told you on Twitter, but I appreciated you using your 1% on me there. That's a real one. You're a true homie.
I'm really trying to get up 1%. To 2 these days. Dude, did you see me? What day was it? It was like Saturday. I was fighting off like a pack of hyenas on Twitter. Everyone subtweeting me.
All right.
Holy shit. I was like Gandalf trying to fucking hold back that. I don't even know. Like, God.
You shall not pass.
Right, here we go. So Joe pulled up the last 20 matches it looks like. So we see.
Look at the junglers.
Hecarim. That is.
It's a fucking petting zoo.
That is all on.
The one guy that wants to mate with the animals, he's like wearing their carcasses as he runs around. Like, what is going on?
Olaf.
This is disgusting, by the way. These are pro teams. Look at these simplified, no, man. Skarner is good. Karthus is good. You can play these 2 champions. And Nocturne is fine in the jungle. You can flex him. He's a flex pick, so you can you can do stuff in the draft with him. Kindred is still fine. Graves still gets picked in other regions. There's no Graves, I guess he's arguable, right? You can pick Evelynn. Like, Evelynn is still fine inside of the jungle. No one fucking plays her because, again, coordination. I'm trying to think, like, what other junglers? Ivern is still good inside of the jungle, right? Especially on 11.5, right? He hasn't been nerfed again yet. Ivern's still good in the jungle. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
this is just so gross.
I mean, the one I've been calling for is Nocturne. I feel like Nocturne.
By the way,
like on 11.6, there's even more because then you have like Xin and stuff coming in.
Fiddlesticks is good too. By the way, Fiddle is actually sick. Fiddle is really sick. His base damages and his utility with recipe component.
You just have to have Olaf banned if you play Fiddle. If you get like,
it's
you have to
so. Oh god, I can't, dude. And people think I'm mauled for no reason. We're not doing anything. We're eating paychecks. That's all that people are doing.
Gragas jungle is viable.
Gragas jungle as a pivot, Gragas multiflex inside of the jungle. I mean, people play Morgana. I'm so fucking fed up because ultimately all that's happening, we're regressing. We're not progressing. We're regressing. Every region is just regressing.
Oh, Mundo's another one. If they're heavy AP.
Poppy's fine inside of the jungle. You can flex her into the jungle. She can function on lower economy than other champions. There's so fucking many, man. It's so angering. And I can't help but not get angry about this because the patterns that I'm recognizing, by the way, when I see stuff like this, right, is I'm seeing other esports die. These are the patterns that are starting. Complacency, stagnation, and a lack of innovation. How many more pros are going to keep losing to Calculator, by the way, and using like magical thinking to conclude that a matchup is fine? How many more? Dude, I just can't. Nar's not blind pick guy in chat. Nar's not blind pick guy in pro team.
Yeah. I mean, the only
Who's
time
in
where you can
chat?
blind pick Gnar is if
Fudge.
you blind pick it super late in the draft, and then you're like forced, like the enemy team is forced to play a certain type of champion top lane for their comp to work. So if they don't have the liberty of counter picking the Gnar. Like that's the only time where I feel like you could blind pick it. Like you go on like 4 after bans when like you've banned out like 2 of the matchups you don't want to play into, and the enemy team is like forced to play like a tank top or something.
By the way, Soraka solo lane. No one's playing it, by the way. She got like 6 buffs in a row. And fucking Moonstone Renewer and AoE and shit. No one's playing her. No one played Seraphine. Me and Nemesis made the list in January, right? January, February, right? We made the list, put Seraphine Z tier, said she's the best champion in the game. Everyone fucking memed it, said that she's bad, right? This is the very, very, very beginning of the play. She gets nerfed 5 fucking times. She's still the best champion in the game. No one plays her. I mean, NA, I guess, plays her. But not a lot of other... Reckless plays her. Reckless fucking Savant, right? Reckless also plays Karma ADC. Like, flex picks aren't being utilized. Draft is so simple.
LS,
and
he
then the other
lost
thing
those
that I've been
games,
doing...
so that means that...
those
Karma's
are bad.
not good.
God, don't get me started. But
Karma,
the
Karma,
other
you should
thing-
only
the other
play
thing
80
that-
carries.
The other thing that makes me mauled is I've been counting the amount of unique... Well, I've only been doing it recently, right? The amount of unique champions that are picked and banned by pro teams in best of 5s. One of the series had 26!
You only play
26! You're
Wait,
playing fucking tic-tac-toe!
Wait, 26 unique. That means
26 unique picked and banned! You're playing tic-tac-toe!
Wait, that means so 20 champions a game are banned and picked, right?
Yes!
So they got. Oh no. LS is mauled. Do we need LS's camera for the next episode? I gotta see LS maulding.
I'm turning into fucking XQC over here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh my
Christ.
But I'm not role playing. Holy shit.
Yeah, get your apology ready to those that are role playing as pro players right now. Shit. I think, again, thank you for breaking down that math. And that is a conversation that I feel like, again, much larger. And also, you've hit on a couple times here. So these are the types of things that drive the narratives that a lot of people just see outwardly, right? So they just see the tweet or the hot take, and they don't see the long history and calculator math behind and trends that are happening behind it. And there feels like there's a sense of duty and urgency so that the game doesn't become stale and that people move on. We've seen that happen in other esports. So
wait, I want to point something out. Because guy in chat is just sending me off the fucking rails. Guy in chat is just sending me off.
Guy in chat, please
rails.
stop making my job harder. LS, please go ahead, but don't go ahead.
No, never mind. I can't get it ready in time. I'll
All
have
right,
it ready for next week.
cool.
It's
All
fine.
right. So we gotta get rolling today. We hit on all the matches that happened this week, all 8 of them, and then the futures. By the way, we don't have an episode before the finals. So does anyone beat Cloud9?
I mean, I think it's TL versus C9 again, but I really didn't like how TL adapted. Like, they used their time. Wait, did they have 2 weeks off in between? They did, right? Like, they had a week off before this, or no? I think they did, right? So
Yes.
they didn't use their 2 weeks. Like, it felt like they got worse over their 2 weeks. So now I'm kind of like worried. Like, I was expecting to see them adapt more towards like a reasonable meta. Like, I thought that they would really hone down like how they wanted to play. You know, carry tops, like what I said earlier, mages mid for Jensen that are blindable, and kill bot lanes. I thought they were gonna double down more on that, and then now they've went in a completely different direction. So I guess at this point I'll have to say that Cloud9 looks like they're gonna win the finals against them if they rematch, because I don't like the direction TL has taken.
LS?
Show me the bingo card really quick.
All right, Joe, pull up the bingo card. I think, hey, so if you've had a completed bingo card, tweet at me. You can tweet at me and tag VENN Esports. And if you do that, I will pick one of you to show on the broadcast for next week. Also, again, thanks to our boy Hardrada. There we go. Hardrada.
Oh my god.
For building it.
Tom has TL flashbacks. We don't need that one. dGon didn't overdose on Copiate. Never mind. I mean, but I'm still predicting the 3-0. Okay?
Holy
All right.
shit.
Maybe we make a new card for next week. Maybe we make that part of Hardrada's workload. I think he can do that. Chat, you would like that, right? Okay. It is 10:59. We have a hard out today, but thank you.
Oh my God, no!
tuning
Top
in.
left to bottom right happened. Absolutely.
Top left to bottom right.
No, who do we give a gold star to? I took away all of Tommy's gold stars.
Who did we give a gold star to?
We didn't give. We took them away.
I thought we gave a gold star to Subway.
I thought we took away. I thought we were saying he wanted.
I thought they used the gold stars to wrap the tape around the sub when you get takeout.
Okay, maybe in Korea. Maybe that's a Korean Subway thing.
This is again another revisionist history thing.
There we go.
Forgetting what we said about gold stars and forgetting his boy Sanchovi's LS getting us to bingo though. All right, everyone. Great episode. Make sure to follow along, and you can watch the VOD over at VENN Esports. You can watch these two on their co-streams this weekend for the semifinals, I guess, the losers bracket finals and the grand finals for the LCS. Anything else? Dom first and then LS?
Watch LPL. It's the only competitive playoff left. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You got a fucking hype ass LPL, man. Top
we
four
didn't even
teams.
talk.
Oh my
we didn't
God.
even talk about you making it back to the broadcast from jail to
shit.
broadcast, dude.
Yeah, from jail
LS
to broadcast. Sure.
LS, final thoughts.
Final thought? No, I mean, final thoughts is, I'm excited for next weekend to watch all of the matches, and yeah, pretty much it. I'll also be on Hotline League later with Travis, I guess.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah, I won't be
Is that
streaming
some
anymore, though.
Form of like charity that you're doing, or like how did that end up being a
Sub to Travis
Mark's
Gafford.
great. I love Mark.
up to Travis Gafford? Okay, sure.
Sub to Travis
Mark's
Gafford.
the homie. Sub to Mark. All right. Thank you, everybody. Great episode. We will catch you guys next week as we crown a new LCS mid-season, I guess the first ever mid-season showdown champion. And we'll know who will be representing North America as a tier 2 major region over at MSI. We'll see you later.
Oh, hey there. Look at the time. Time for another video. We got 2 served up for you right here. Right there.